what was the moment, or was there a kind of epiphany that you guys received at some point in your careers that clicked into you and said, you know what, maybe if we focused on the happiness and the satisfaction of our employees, we wouldn't be seeing the kind of challenges that we're seeing in our environments? Is there a singular moment like that has happened for any of you? Kumar, can you comment on that?
Yeah, no. Because obviously when we started off, we were a startup, and we had our core team of engineers and business folks. We were on the grind, working 16 hours a week, doing the usual, and bending the spoon and changing people's mindset around how to establish that work culture. As we scaled, as we hit the 30 mark, we soon realized that, look, people have lives. It's not just about ACTO. People actually have lives. They need to focus on their families. They need to focus on their household, as well as ACTO. So those 16-hour days, that expectation soon had to change, Shail. So about 30 mark was when we kind of had that epiphany. And as we hit 50, and then as we hit 60, and as we hit the 100 mark, soon evolved into us focusing on our work culture and having a culture around our people, rather than just, thinking of it as building just, blocks of teams and then rallying them up against customer objectives or just, what needs to happen as a project, right? So as we hit these milestones, as we scale the number of people, every single time we had to pivot our strategy around HR and people to bring about a work culture and what it actually means to be part of an ACTO team. So that's what I would say were our moment of epiphanies, or kind of
so when you got to about 30 people is what you're saying, that's where it kicked in. And it kicked in hard, obviously, because you guys have really focused on that part of it now. And you come from a very a different place than people like Kyle, myself, and Ray. Ray runs his company. Kyle is actually in charge of the culture of his company, and I run my company. You are the CTO. You're probably the last person that people expect to kind of, adopt this. I've heard it referred to in the past, airy-fairy theory of employee engagement. So talk to me about that. What you're like a unicorn in this industry. You tell me why you are so so engaged in this part of it with your team.
Absolutely. And, this is just a moment of my humble brag. That's what makes me.
I like how you identify it first. I'm about to humble brag, and then I go with it. Right.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Look, I believe that every SaaS company, what are you selling? You're selling your software, right? So product engineering organization is the largest team. And if a CTO or a CPO who's leading that organization does not focus on people, then soon you'll start realizing that gap in basically the delivery as well as the expectations. So hence, because I lead the largest team in our company, I need to be people focused. And I soon realized that, especially even my past experiences with my previous startups kind of helped me arrive at that conclusion. And look, at the end of the day, that product engineering folks, you find a lot of introverts, and it's harder for you to get them to engage rather than on the sales side where they're outgoing, outspoken, and they're always talking on the phone. So I needed to make that extra effort, go out there and actually be that people's person. And last but not least, I actually try to, I'm a big believer in taking feedback that we get from the customers to the engineering directly. And I try to just be that medium that carries across. So all these points kind of brought me to be that people's person, Shail, and, work very closely with our people team and HR team to build that culture and keep our folks engaged and retain the talent.
Well, that is really impressive because, like I said, it's more of a challenge for you. Like you said, you're engaged with people who aren't necessarily, they're introverts. They don't, it's like it's been said to me in the past. It's like watching, and that's exactly what it is. It's difficult for a technical person to kind of get their heads wrapped around here. So that's why I wanted to ask you that question, Ray. You must have had some epiphany, for lack of a better word, at some point that would turn the company around. Even though you've only been doing this for 3 years, you're sitting at number one. So you must have turned on a dime at some point.
Well, maybe my epiphany came long before actually I even started the company, because I had worked for a number of companies before starting my company, and many successful companies by all accounts, but the employee journey was not, I would say, that nurturing, and was could be quite toxic at times. And when I was thinking about, in my last job, what am I going to do next? And I thought about that for a couple of years, because I thought I don't want to go into another company, and that's what prompted me to start my company. And I just knew I wanted to do something different. I didn't even know what that sort of meant or what it looked like, but I knew I wanted to do it different. And so starting it, that was one thing. Figuring out how to run a business, that's another thing. Figuring out how to create an organization, that was another thing. And it's been small piece by piece over the years. Kind of figure out how it's one thing to want to do it and have the mindset, but to actually know how to do it took a long time to get there. And so there was no big turnaround for us. It was just a slow, gradual marathon. I call it a marathon, to get there. And so we knew, we thought, I think we're doing the right things. We're trying hard and we're getting some feedback, but let's try to get some external validation and just see where we're at. And so we thought, we should enter one of these awards things and see what happens. And 3 years ago we entered, and we came in 16th, and we're like, wow, that's awesome. And so from there, we're like, you know what? We have a 5-year goal. We want to be top 3 in 5 years. And then, so the third year in, everyone's jaw dropped on the floor this year. We thought they forgot
Yeah.
us. They forgot us. Like, we're not on the list. And then all of a sudden, number 1, we're like, I couldn't believe it. So we were as
yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing achievement. I know we were the same way. We ended up at number 6, and actually Mel and I were taping a podcast and trying to watch, and we're like, they forgot about us. We didn't even make the list. And so I know that. So this is interesting. So you started the company. It wasn't a turn on a dime like Kumar was talking about, or like I was kind of trying to figure out. You actually started out not even with a path, but with knowing that you wanted to engage your employees. You wanted to work in a place. You wanted to be able to come to work every day and be happy, and you wanted your employees to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a slow learning process for you. Interesting.
Yeah,
interesting.
Absolutely. I want to create a place where I wanted to work at.
Right.
And, I think it started from, I always knew that, the customer experience was something that we wanted to focus on, especially in a technical environment, which is just like Kumar, is an extremely challenging combination of things when you have engineers and designers trying to, deliver a great customer experience. And I knew that to deliver a great customer experience, you have to have great people and treat them well, because if you don't have great people and they don't work in a great place, how do you expect to get that?
Yeah. Kyle, what about you? Did it start for you the same way, kind of, on a slow burn up, or did you just have the realization that this is the way it needed to be?
So just to be clear too, I've been with Bryson for 5 years, and I was actually pitching them a different product, and at the time when I first met the team. And so what was unique about it was that, usually just one key decision maker is at that meeting around that boardroom, but it was the entire management team, and they all had questions, and they were all coming with something. And, that was a brand new experience for me, where there was just something different about this company already and this culture already. And it kind of left that lingering sort of thought in my head. And Tracy, actually, our president, offered me a position leaving that conversation. And, I never wanted to be in the world of insurance. And so I was like, heck no. But when I left, I just couldn't get it out of my head that this was a different kind of local great business to work for. And so that was it for me, because previous to that, nothing wrong with previous workplaces, I want to be clear, but it was really being treated more like a resource, like something to get production out of, more than something different, right? And so that's really where my journey with Bryson began. And I was already interested in, collaborating and like building a community environment. And so these two kind of moments just kind of came at the perfect time and blossomed into the role that I now have today.
Very cool. And I love the fact that you brought up that, treating people as a resource to get productivity out of. you know, at a very different, at a very base level. And, you know, that is the, you know, I guess employee engagement 101, what not to do. And, you know, at the end of the day, we all want to work at a place that we matter in some way.